video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised. This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz. In a newly released video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man, with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one: concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents, it is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly, picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tied me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, see, what's wrong with it? There's no such thing as improper way. I know the law. I know the law. I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration? To profile, I use the seatbelt as a reason to profile. Give me a fair take out your keys. Yeah, you can record me. What? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. I'll step. What are you call the supervisor? I want to do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah? And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we are getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardes Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 or 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they can never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Mic check, mic check. This is West Wednesday number 423. We are calling for justice for the killing of Tyrone West by the Baltimore police and for all victims of police violence. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. So just like my brother Ben just stated, we're calling for accountability, not just for my big brother Tyrone West, but for all the victims of police brutality and or murder. And I was just watching the video, and as you saw the video that we just displayed, it's about the first officer that initiated the brutal attack, the officer that actually stalked. He stalked his prey. The prey was Tyrone West. And that's exactly what it was. You know, this wasn't well, maybe he was driving funny or they had a reason to stop him. No, he actually hunted my brother down, followed him for a while. Just like I always tell you guys, when I get followed, like they'll say, oh, I saw you 5 blocks back, and I want to know why you got these tents on you, want some foolishness. You know, it's just crazy. Like, you followed me 5, you stalked somebody. But my brother that day, unfortunately, he was stalked. Because that day, there were no tents on my green Mercedes-Benz. There was nothing. You know, there was no reason for him to stalk my brother. But as you can see, the day before, just 24 hours before, literally, you see Darrell Harris. That was a victim that we learned about after my brother was killed. Literally, when this first happened, all I knew about was Abdul Salam. And then somebody that, you know, told me pretty much, they said that, you know, the officer that was responsible for killing my brother was also involved in killing Anthony Anderson a year before. And that's what someone told me that I thought was credible or whatever. But, however, I found out that it wasn't the same officers, but I did find out it was the same unit that was involved, you know, in the brutal homicide of my brother. So pretty much it's just disturbing to actually see that you see this maniac, Ruiz, literally at the car, and you see Chapman, and it's just crazy. And the craziest part about it, 17 days before, Abdul Salam, a resident of that community, was actually almost killed by these same thugs, these maniacs. Literally, Abdul Salam had his baby in the back seat of the vehicle, and all he was doing, he just went grocery shopping because he was preparing for the 4th of July, so he was ready to head out of town, you know, and getting ready for the holiday and whatnot. And as he entered his driveway, which is in the back of his house, he said he kind of moved out the way because they followed him too. They stalked him like he was their prey. Once these killers have their eyes on you, you become a prey, and there's nothing they can do. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You know, it's just sad that no one can save your life. And the crazy part, they didn't do this whereas though it was just in a dark alley, midnight, nobody saw it type of thing. They're so bold, and what makes it so very dangerous, they're doing this stuff in broad daylight, literally. It's like, and with my brother's attack, it was literally at around, you know, in the evening time, around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock is when they started burning him. By 7:18, my brother was dead. You know, he's dead and gone. It's just horrible. And literally a half hour after he dropped me off, he's murdered. In broad daylight, the sun's still beaming because it's in the summertime. And when they did that, you see, you know, the sun was glaring when Ruiz was in full, you know, blown, doing what he do. And that's assaulting people, harassing people, and just being a big bully, the big coward that he is. You know, and I said all this to say that you think about 24 hours before he was able to commit murder on one unarmed man is utterly ridiculous. And had it not been, let's be clear, had it not been for Darrell telling them, hey, you know, the passenger in my vehicle, it has this thing on live. We're on live now. We're showing what you're doing type of thing. And then he even told him, call the supervisor. And had he not made that additional call to 911, quick thinking, he may have been Tyrone West. But the fact that Abdul, we talking about a whole 2 weeks prior, literally, you know, almost killed in his driveway with his baby in the back seat, and the first one to his car pulling him out was who? Killer Ruiz, and he is in the spotlight. And even though I highlight Ruiz, and I always talk about, you hear me talk about Ruiz, you'll hear me talk about Killer Chapman, and you'll hear me mention David Lewis, because David Lewis sat on my brother as he died. But literally, let's be crystal clear. I want all 17 of those stinking animals that murdered my brother. Derek Beasley, which was another big, huge man, over 300 and something pounds. They played a crucial part, throwing haymakers, beating my brother. Like, they are some animals. No one safe. Latrice Lee, we had two females. We had two females that actually played a horrible part into the brutal murder of my brother. But I said all this to say, if we had not stopped fighting for 423 weeks, we're never going to stop. And right now, we're in the process now. We're waiting to see what Brian Frost's office does, because at the end of the day, the corruption goes so deep. It's layers of corruption. It's not just the cops that murdered my brother. That would be easy to shut the Baltimore City Police Department down, literally. But it goes deeper when you have medical examiner's office that lies. You even had, at the time, the state's attorney's office, and they still play a complicit part in murders, because they let murders get away. They prosecute who they want to prosecute, and they let others walk. And it's just sad and disgusting. So when you have a whole corrupt system that's working hand in hand, how can you truly get accountability? Nobody family should be fighting this hard for over 423 weeks. That is a very long time for anybody to be fighting. That is horrible, it's disgusting, it's despicable. No one family should be going through this. And recently over the weekend, I was able to join other impacted families in DC, and I didn't get any joy out of it. In fact, it made me literally physically sick. And I kept saying, well, maybe last time, because I went the year prior, and pretty much felt real sick. But what it was is, when you relive and you see new families come, you see old families, and it's starting to grow more and more. It is sickening. And then most of the part, and I'm glad that Dan, you know, who went with us, enjoyed the impacted families, he made a good key part. He said most of the ones that were killed by the police, most of the family members that were up there talking, a lot of those came from cause where their family member, their loved one, needed medical attention. Like, how do you get murdered when you need medical attention? Nothing more, nothing less. And it reminds me of Marcus. It reminds me, Marcus Martin. That was just recently the last one, unfortunately, that we know of that was killed by the police. They sent a robot in his house, killed him, took his whole family out of their house. And then weeks before that, Timothy Flemings, another person that was going through a mental health crisis, literally murdered in his own home, right in front of his family members, children, and everything. And so tonight, it is hard and it's overwhelming, but as I was having a conversation with the West Coalition on yesterday, and I said, even though the march was real powerful, it was peaceful and everything, but the part that was missing for me was the healing part. Because if all you hear is just hurt, pain, I'm still not myself. Like, I'm still been like having nightmares all this week. I've been crying. I've been off course. I've been in my emotions and my feelings, just literally seeing all that kind of pain. But we have to kind of balance it out. And I know it's hard, but we have to balance it out. So promise you guys moving forward that I don't want to play that crucial part and just always just let you guys at West Wednesday just hear about our loved ones being slaughtered and we just leave when I know, because sometimes it can be traumatizing. And I don't want any family, especially like the new families that don't know anything about the movement, that never asked to be on this side, they don't know, that's clueless, come in and all you seeing is just pain, no solution, and it's just sad. So we got to do something better. For one, I just want to let you know, throughout the pain, we are really, truly fighting for accountability. This is just not, I'm not doing this because this is fun, exciting. I'd rather have my brother here than be living my life. And yesterday, when one of my favorite aunties had sent me a picture and they displayed my grandmother when she was younger. I was on there. My brother Tyrone, my cousin Tavon that was just recently murdered, and my cousin Neil. Was a beautiful picture, a beautiful memory. But at that moment, it brought so many feelings out of me. But at the end of the day, because they raised me with love and integrity, and because I was raised up around nothing but, powerful men, powerful, I was like the girl of the family, that they always took care of, and, everything like that. But I said all to say, it is my promise. I promise you, and I've been promised you guys, and as you see, they couldn't pay me to get out this movement. They done tried to silence me in so many ways. You guys all know it. If you watch the fight, there I done been lied doing this, and there's so much that happened. And you see, I'm here for the long haul. I'm not going anywhere. I never asked for this fight, and I'm not going anywhere. Because at the end of the day, our families, we are more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than just getting on a microphone, pouring out this pain, reliving this nightmare week after week. And while most of you guys are getting sleep at night, we're tossing and turning. It's some nights we don't even get sleep. I don't even know how the energy that we're running off of. And literally, we have to go to work, or we have to continue on being mommy, continue on being a wife, continue on just living your normal life. And it's hard. It's really hard. But I said all this to say that this is a fight we never asked for, but however, it's a lifetime fight for me. I'm in it. I ain't going nowhere until my coffin drops. I'm never going to stop. And guess what? Even when that day comes, because everybody has their day, my family's going to still carry it on. I had my children, my brother's children, like, they're going to carry it on. Like, this is not going to stop right here. And we are a family. Like, we never asked to be put together in such a sad way, but on the bright side of it, I love you guys, and like, I never knew that my life would have went from the everyday normal to just like going to work. Cause that day on July the 18th, that changed my life literally forever. I never imagined this. I never ever in my worst nightmare imagined being here talking about loved ones that are no longer here with me, and I'm fighting this fight, and I gotta stay in tune with my feelings, and just, it's a lot, but I'm here for the long haul. But my first guest that I'm gonna bring up, and this is my queen sister Nicole, Warrior Queen. This is the wife of Marcus. And Marcus is the son of Anthony Anderson. And just the other day, it was Anthony Anderson's birthday. And he should have been here celebrating what would have been his maybe 56th birthday or something like that. And I know how hard that is, because when my brother's birthday just passed and he would have been 52, I'm sitting there like, just felt so cheated, so robbed. But the reason why I brought my queen sister here tonight, not only to stand in solidarity with her father-in-law, but this queen, I don't know how I can imagine walking in her shoes, because literally, here it is, you are actually, your life, your family life is normal. Then all of a sudden, your father-in-law, he gets murdered right in front of his mother, his granddaughter, and his daughter at a baby's birthday party. And something that's supposed to be the most happiest day, because whenever they take our loved ones, that marks that day of sadness for us forever. You changed our life forever. Forever. So whatever that commemoration date is when we lose our loved ones from murder. Not that, they were sick and they just passed away, because even that day hurts. That day hurts. But when you're talking about murder, that's the type of hurt that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. So every time it comes near to July the 18th, 2013, I feel sick. I feel woo. Even when I see the number 718, it does something to me. Even when I see the time that my brother got murdered, when that time comes across my clock, it does something to me. Even now, recently, when my cousin Tavon Anderson was murdered at 12:16 in the morning of this year on January the 20th. Every time I see that time, I get sick. I feel crazy, right? So these things does something to you. But back to my sister Queen. You literally lose your father-in-law, right? He gets murdered for no reason by the same tactical unit that always changes their names. Because at first they went from literally the gun trace task force to the fit investigation team, all this foolishness, and they move these killer maniacs around. They move these animals around. They get promotions after they kill our loved ones. They get all type of things, and they get qualified immunity while they're bringing harm, bringing brutality to our communities. They get qualified immunity. Like, are you freaking kidding me? What about us? And that is the problem. They don't give a damn about us. And just like I think about my sister Tanika, who I brought on here, who her son, Fred, say his name, was actually murdered inside of a church. Yo, you going to a funeral and you're actually murdered by an off-duty killer cop. So it's a big problem. But again, back to my special guest. But for her to literally lose her father-in-law, literally, and then turn around 2 weeks later, and this queen baby, beautiful, beautiful daughter, teenager, is murdered. So that's why I don't want to hear that foolishness about, hey, where's all that energy when community violence happen and police? Guess what? Y'all need to stop that because y'all sound foolish. Because guess what? At the end of the day, like I always tell you guys, it is called the highway of hell, and we all are suffering from it. We don't suffer from that. That's why we always, not only do we read out the names of police brutality victims, we always read out the names of community violence. We always uplift the fallen people, and we don't even know if it's all community violence. Right now, I don't even feel like it's community violence because too many teenagers, babies, there are no street rules. It's just like it's like a purge. It really is. Like, you got your community violence, but mixed inside of all that, you have people that want to see us dead and gone, and that they know that they're not going to get caught. They know that we're going to just blame each other, and I said it, and now, you know, it's nothing's going to happen. It's we're getting burned, and it's sad that we live in a world that you're worth more dead than you are alive. You can work and bust your tail all your life, be a good mother, father, wife, do all you gotta do, go slave at a job for hours, get double pay, whatever. But you mean nothing while you're here, and it's so sad. But as soon as you die, then now they want to throw money at your family. Now all this foolishness. At the end of the day, I always told you guys, and I meant it, it's never about the income, it's about the outcome. And the saddest part, they don't even care, because at the end of the day, if you murder one of our loved ones, you're supposed to. If you take me away from my family that I'm providing for, yes, you are supposed to accommodate my children and my family that I was taking care of. You get what I'm saying? Because you took me away. I didn't ask to be took away. My children didn't ask for their parents to be taken away. But you did. That's all you owe. And then I think about Corinne Gaines that was executed. And even after she was awarded a certain amount of dollars, which is not about the income. But let's be clear, it was awarded and they snatched it right back. A racist judge said, oh no, they got it wrong. And they still ruling. And they going through a bunch of foolishness. And they done lowered it, and then now poor Cody still got to fight. And this is a survivor, a baby that watched his mother get executed, and he was almost executed. And when I thought he only got shot once, for me to learn he got shot twice, they tried to kill this poor baby. It was nothing but the grace of God that Cody's still here. But no further ado, I'm going to bring out my beautiful queen, Nicole, who I say is a miracle that she's still here, able to breathe, to talk, and everything by losing her own child. I know what it feels like to lose a brother who was my everything. Because literally, when my brother was around me, it was almost like bringing my mother back. Because I saw my mother, and he was my father figure. He was my big brother. He was my everything. You know, he was a good uncle, doing stuff for his nieces and nephews. He was a good father, doing stuff for his kids. I just loved who he was as a person, just trying to survive. And then even though he wasn't old, he kept calling himself, he had an old spirit. He kept saying, yeah, I'm a gentleman, I'm an older guy. Now I'm just living my life. I just want to take care of my kids and just be a gentleman. That's all and that's how he lived his life. And to actually give a young lady a ride ends up into you being murdered. Actually going to a funeral home end up in you getting murdered. Actually, Anthony Anderson going to the bar for somebody to get some drinks or whatever, to go back to a party, a birthday party, a celebration of life, ends up murdered right in front of his mother. For his poor mother, Edith, may she rest in peace. I got a chance to meet that beautiful queen that was always fighting for her son. She is no longer here. She had to die from a broken heart, literally. Her son was murdered right in her face. And then for me to have my uncle, for me to have my grandmother no longer here, for me to have my cousin Tavon Anderson murdered, and nobody's telling us diddly squat, okay? We gotta sit around and trust the damn process. I don't trust it. But I'm gonna move on from that. I'm gonna come back here, and I'm gonna bring out my beautiful queen sister, Nicole. I just wanna say I love you, queen. Thank you for all that you do. And if you want to dive in and talking about your daughter, your father-in-law, the floor is all yours. And I'm still praying for you. I pray for you every single day. Even we don't think when I talk to you, you're always in my prayers. And I commend you and your husband for still being community figures out here, for doing a great job, doing everything you do, like everything for us, like giving back to the community.
It's 7
to
o'clock.
The football team, to your husband doing a great landscaping work and things like that. And I definitely need you soon because it looks like I'm going to Paris. Like, I'm gonna be honest, right? So, yeah, I'm just trying to balance it out so we won't just have sadness. But Queen, you can just dive into any and everything that you're comfortable with talking about. Mic check.
Well, mic check.
Mic check.
Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, I thank you so much, Tawanda, for having me all the weeks that I've known you. I haven't always been able to be here physically, but I've always been here spiritually and mentally. I've had a lot of things going on, and I just wanted to start off saying what makes this so sad and so hurtful. I never got the opportunity to meet my father-in-law. I never laid eyes on this man until after all of this happened, and I had to see pictures of him. Anthony Anderson never even knew I exist, but I'm standing here fighting for him, loving him, caring for him, and trying my best not to allow anyone to let his name die, even though I never met this man. When I first got with my husband, you know, his father was alive, my daughter was alive. We had goals, we had dreams, we had plans on how we wanted things to go. We hadn't got to the point where we were even thinking about marriage, but we started off as best friends. We really did. That man helped me to come back from a stroke. When I met my husband, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't even use the bathroom by myself. And he was there for me through all of that. And especially in this day and time, because my husband was only 22 years old when I met him, and for a man to be that young and to be there for me like that, and I'm older than my husband, that's number one reason why we call the Cougars, because I am a Cougar. But he really was there for me. He stood by my side, and now I can sing, I can walk, I can talk, I can do all the things that I took for granted in the past that I don't take for granted now. And that man had to also be strong, because when his father got murdered, I had to be there for him, only to turn around 2 weeks later and push him off of me because I needed his shoulder because they killed my 16-year-old daughter. See, I've been on both sides of the fence. My father-in-law was beat to death by the police department, Baltimore City Police. My daughter was set up by them. She had witnessed a murder, and instead of them calling me, which I'm her mother, or her dad, or a lawyer, or anybody that was an adult who could supervise the interview. They took my baby to the police station and questioned her about this murder. That she didn't see the murder, she just came home and the person was dead in the house. You 16 years old. She panicked. The first thing she did was call the police. Now everybody knows the codes of the street. You kill somebody, you're gonna send somebody back, or you coming back yourself to make sure that person is dead. They seen my daughter getting in that police car, they rendered her a snitch. What they gonna do with a snitch? They gonna get rid of it. My child lost her life from being afraid and not having the knowledge and the understanding of what was going on, and she went with her first instinct, and she lost her life behind her first instinct. And it is sad because, just like my queen said, that 2 days out of the year she grieves and she hurts and she mourns. I have to go through that 4 days out of the year because my father-in-law's birthday and his death date, my daughter's birthday, her death date. You know, my daughter would have been 25 years old come July the 19th. And what's so weird is because her birthday is July the 19th and my husband's birthday is July the 23rd. So they only a couple of days apart. You know, and he's just coming into this already made family, but he stepped in as a man and he helped me with my children. He helped me get back on my feet because I had got evicted from my place. I had just lost my grandmother. I didn't have a mother nor a father because both of them got murdered. I've had so much tragedy in my life in the past 30 years. It's sad, and I'm continuing to try to build and try to make something of myself. I don't want to leave this world and don't leave a mark on this world, letting people know that I was here. The graveyards are full of untold stories because everybody has a story. Everybody had a life. Everybody had goals and dreams, no matter what they were, whether they were the ones that you thought they should have or not. That's what their life was consisted of. And I said all that just to say the simple fact that it's hard and it hurts to have to be introduced to so many wonderful and loving and caring people under these kind of circumstances. Tawanda, I should not know you because of all this pain, because of all this hurt, because of all this anger and anguish that we're going through. I should have met you on a better note. But at the end of the day, God knows what he's doing. And either way, I still met a beautiful, strong queen who also helps me to be strong. Because I do lean on your energy and the energy of all the people who join these meetings and stuff to help get by. I hadn't been here in a while because I too almost lost my life through a driver who didn't know what he was doing, and he turned into our lane, and it was a one lane and coming into oncoming traffic, and he almost flipped my husband's truck over, which knocked me all over the place, messed up my knee, my ankle. I tore my rotator cuff in my shoulder. My back is messed up. It's been hard for me to walk and everything. I've been going to rehab and a chiropractor and stuff for the past 3 months. And the sad part about it is that a month or so before that, we had gotten into another accident, and we were leaving therapy when we got into the accident with the truck. So I'm like, really? You know, God, I know you got to be keeping me here for a reason. For all of this to happen, and I'm still here. I'm broke up. I'm hurting. I'm on a lot of pain medication and stuff. Sometimes I'm a little loopy, but I'm still in my right frame of mind to know what I'm saying, and saying that killer cops should be in cell blocks. No justice, no peace. We are not going to rest. We are not going to stop fighting the fight. We're not going to stop marching the marches until these police officers and anyone else that joins in their reindeer games are in a jail cell. If it was one of us that killed one of them, we either be dead or we would be in prison, not being able to even get out because they would melt the lock and throw away the key if it was us. So why should we not get the same justice for our loved ones that you would get if it was one of you? this is sad. I should not have to be on here trying to defend not only people that I don't know, not only people that I have never met, but my own loved ones as well, talking about something that shouldn't even be. We all are God's creations. We all are human. Yes, we all make mistakes, but some things you know right from wrong. And you knew that was wrong to take Tyrone away from here like that, Anthony Anderson away from here like that, Ajay Harad away from here like that, and all the other thousands of people that you have taken away for no reason, only because of your own selfish ways and because you wanted to have your way and you wanted to do it your way. And that wasn't right. They had to pay the price because of your ignorance and because your carelessness and because you just straight didn't care. No matter what. It was nothing to you. And what did you do? You came and you threw a white sheet over my family and loved ones and called it a day. You went home that night. You went to sleep that night. You woke up the next day. My family and my friends and my extended family who was in this, they didn't. And they didn't deserve it. And it's not right and it's not fair that y'all get to continue to live your lives however you see fit. And our family and loved ones and stuff are in the ground for nothing. For absolutely nothing. And I am going to keep on fighting. I'm going to drag this raggedy leg and shoulder with me as far as it will take me, because as God is my witness, I am going to be at every march and every press conference that I can be at, that I'm allowed to be at, that my body will allow me to attend. I love you, Tawanda. I love you for having me here. I'm sorry I took up so much of your time, but I am here, and if you need me for anything, I am here. Mic check.
And first of all, sis,
Mic check.
Mic check. First of all, sis, let me say this: you don't have to be sorry for nothing. It is always an honor, even though it's sad to hear your story, but it's always an honor to have you here and whatever you want to share. But I want to do something a little bit different that I never did before. I want to kind of pull on some things from, you know, what happened with your father-in-law and tie it into my brother's case to show you how corrupt these animals are. So, I don't know if you know or not, but when we got the independent review that is public information, they literally made sure they made a note to say, oh, well, the family of Mr. West was saying that the officers involved in Anthony Anderson's death was involved in Mr. West's death, but they wasn't. But the key fact that you would even put that in a Public Information Act type investigational type of thing is sickening, because you did all that, but yet you knew about Abdul Salam, you knew about all the other victims. Why wasn't that included in it? You get what I'm saying? That's forgetting. And then I also want to talk about, because a lot of people make certain people, just because they're our skin color, into heroes. And I like calling house Negroes out, and you know I don't have a filter, but I don't like nobody playing with impacted, hurt families, like people that have lost loved ones. I don't even want to call it like we are impacted, but we are more than that. Like, but people that never asked to be in this fight, I don't like them playing with us, period. And I said all that to say, I thought about when Greg Bernstein, with his racist self, sat up there and laughed in y'all family face and said he wasn't going to do nothing with the killer cops and all that, did the same thing to my family. But the interact, that was why I got him kicked out of office. That's why I said, you know what, you laughed in Anthony Anderson's face, family's face, and you sitting up there trying to laugh in mine, but I promise you, I guarantee you, you will not be in office long. And we vowed, and we kept on doing West Wednesday, week after week, in front of the state's attorney's office, calling them out, and we couldn't wait to go to the polls when he was trying to get them votes. I'm like, don't vote for him. Do you know he backed killer cops? And guess what? He didn't get voted for. You know, that's the type of work that we need to continue on doing. If these folks not going to do their job, get them the hell out of office. They need to all go. Knock it down, build it back up. But that's what I want to bring out. And then another interesting thing that I wanted to do is say that how, now I looked at when Commissioner Batts at the time was the commissioner. I remember he wasn't even aboard like no more than 2, 3 days. But I remember they hand delivered. Anthony Anderson's autopsy report. They literally hand delivered it to your guy's family and everything. And the crazy part about it, the medical examiner's office deemed it a homicide because Greg Bernstein didn't do anything. How can you justify a freaking homicide? This man, I want to talk about the early details. Anthony Anderson was tossed on his head, guys, like a basketball. He wasn't like, and it was by and these killer cops were in an unmarked car, okay, an unmarked police car. And let's be clear about the facts. And when my brother Tyrone West was clear, they were in was killed. Let's be clear. When my brother Tyrone West was murdered, his killers, Ruiz and Chapman, were in an unmarked car. You get what I'm saying? So let's talk about these similarities, how they stalked our loved ones and murdered them. They both were they were both unarmed men, right? But yet they were stalked. And Anthony Anderson's killers came up behind him, tossed Anthony Anderson wasn't even 150 pounds, literally took him, tossed him up in the air like a basketball, let him fall down on his head, and as he's hemorrhaging and shaking and saying he needed medical attention, they're saying, stop faking, you know you faking, like, are you serious, like, are you freaking kidding me? And the part that really struck me was when I heard the name on the news, and they lied, the same way they lied on my brother. The media plays a big part. They can make innocent people look guilty and guilty people look innocent. It's a clear mistake. They sat up there and they said, well, Anthony Anderson was killed, you know, or whatever. They try to say it was a drug transaction. The same thing they try to say about my brother. No drugs were never found, confiscated or anything, right? Tested, submitted, none of that. And then they even lied and said Anthony Anderson had drugs. This is the medical examiner's office. That's why they need to reopen Anthony Anderson case, right? They lied and said that Anthony Anderson had drugs in his system. Literally, and all this foolishness, just like they lied and said Mr. West had drugs. And that's what they do when they kill our loved ones. The medical examiner's office is guilty as hell, and that's why we're still waiting for Timothy Fleming's autopsy report, because I guarantee you they're going to say he had some sort of drugs inside, because they got to make all this stuff fit. They got to make it seem like, oh, well, they were high off of drugs, and then they always make it seem like our loved ones, especially if they get beat, not gunned down, like a horrible way that Timothy Fleming was murdered, like shot 7 times, horrific, right? But when you beat somebody to death and you literally try to lie, you pepper spray them, tase them, do all this foolishness, and you try to lie and say, and in Anthony Anderson case, he had a ruptured spleen. They did like horrible, like did some horrible stuff, and yet the killer cop, they didn't get arrested. They're still walking the beat. So I wanted to point out those facts. That was why we got Greg Bernstein kicked out of office. And another fact, when I talk about house Negroes, everybody gives Lieutenant Colonel Russell, because he's a black man, they say, oh, well, he should have been commissioner, he should have been this, he should have been that. Well, he's the same house Negro. Yeah, I said it. You're not, Nicole's not saying it, the West Coalition's not saying it. This is all TJ, Warner Jones. I'm saying it. Lieutenant Colonel Russell is a house Negro. He walked in with the white detectives in my case, right? He walked in with all the white detectives, right? And as soon as we start asking questions, wanting to be things to be transparent and get answers and seeking answers, he breaks out and want to pray with us. Like, I can pray at church. You're not my pastor, sir. You want to talk me all this foolishness about, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to let he said, what did he say? I'll never forget that we're going to let all the chips fall where they may. I'm going to make sure you guys get accountability. And then he asked to fry chicken with my family. And for me to learn, did he or did he not fry chicken for Andy?
Yes, he did.
And this is what this house Negro think he can do. We don't want the damn chicken.
Right.
We eat freaking chicken. We want our loved ones. That's why I took him on the spot, because he was like, yeah, because, you know, I can fry some chicken for y'all. What? That's insulting on all levels.
Yeah, it really was.
Chicken. I said, I'd rather fry chicken with Tyrone West. Like, get out my face. But I said all to say, We have to watch out for these trauma vultures that actually walk in because they got our skin color. You don't get no free really goddamn pass.
Exactly.
And the first thing when you go to these legislators and you try to go on Annapolis and you spending the night trying to change the officer killer right, which is the Leopold, right? It gives them the right, places them above, accountability, gives them full, all this qualified immunity, all this foolishness. There are so many protections. They're the ones protected while they are serving us death and brutality. Let's be clear on those things. But I said all this to say we have to call these trauma vultures out. They sent this black house Negro in with the white lie detectives, and they all know what happened to Tyrone West, and then they get him to be the reason of voice. He want to be the voice of reason why. Come on, guys, I came down here. I'm on your side. No, you're not. No, you freaking not. So I want y'all to know, watch out for the house Negroes. I say it. Watch out, because they were sending with the white detectives. They sat up there laughing and joking about the way your loved ones were slaughtered. And then they said, when you ask to be transparent and you ask for all these answers, then you want to, let's pray and break out with a prayer with the family at our weakest moment. You're not my pastor, sir.
Right.
My bishop is Bishop Orlando Wilson. Let's be clear.
Yes.
So I want to go into prayer. I'm going to go into prayer with mine, not you.
Right.
Not you. And then come in line, and he's sitting up there with the big house Negro. They let the detective, the guy will pull me out on the porch and lie and say that my car was I would never see my car again, that it was took because there was so much of drugs in my car, all these lies. And the same day that they said that, sis, guess what they did? My Mercedes was set in the city town, collected $345 worth of fees. While he lied and said I would never see it again. And then they played the game. When I went down and when I found out my car was sitting there with fees or whatever, I got my attorney to find out where my car was at. They like, your car in the city town collecting fees, you can go get it. I go down there to get my car. They're like, oh, we can't. They was like, we got your car, but the homicide got your car keys. I said, what? Why would homicide have my car keys? One, my brother wasn't murdered inside of my car. He was murdered outside of my car. But I'm on the street. So this is the game. So then I had to literally leave the city town. Mind you, I don't have no vehicle. I'm in a cab. I had to catch a cab all the way down the homicide. I go down there. Here go Detective Delgado. Here go this white man, or whoever he is. This devil, that's all I'm gonna call him, because all of them devils, including Lieutenant Colonel Russell, devils, because they'll set up in our face and lie and play the devil advocates, okay? Let's be clear. And he sat up there and tried to question me. Oh yeah, so sorry about your brother. I'm going to do a thorough investigation because we're going to find out what happened. And I'm like, can I get my keys? Oh, well, we got to go and get them. Taking all forever and a day to go get me my keys. Did your brother kept trying to make stuff fit? Did your brother have any heart issues, like any medical issues? Was he recently in the hospital? I said, sir, my brother is the most healthiest man. He just had a healthy visit from the doctor a week ago. You want that? Oh, no, I don't want it. Of course you don't. You wanted me to say some stupid stuff so you could play off of it. So watch out for these trauma vultures. They need to lock these investigators up. Everybody need to go to jail. And I don't know what kind of game that they play with your family, sis, but I know they play so much games with
Yes.
But I was wondering, and I'm still in it. Literally, I got them in the case, and I played it one time for my press conference. When they walked in, it's interesting, they walked in, coming up with the autopsy report was supposed to be before the autopsy was done. You can't make this stuff up. They're like, oh,
Right.
we want to make sure Mr. West didn't have a bad heart. We want to make sure that the weather didn't contribute. And guess what? 154 days later, what did the autopsy report say? Bad heart, weather, he was dehydrated, and he just died. Zero strength. It pretty much said he had zero strength. And he, died off of crack and had a heart attack, like what they always do. Same thing he said about George Floyd. He had drugs in his heart. He had a heart attack and died. Not that he had a foot sitting on his neck. Like my brother suffered way more than that. Not that Anthony Anderson was tossed on his head like a basketball, but Anthony Anderson had cocaine in the system. Get the hell out of here.
Which was a lie.
A lie. That's what I'm saying.
Bold-faced lie.
That's what I'm saying. We need to call these liars out.
Mm-hmm.
And have I don't care. I'm talking about y'all. I got my page public because I want y'all to see me talking about y'all. I don't care. I'm not afraid of y'all. Y'all some cowards, and we're not going to stop until we get accountability. And if you try to set me up, the world is watching, so bring it on. I want all that smoke, because guess what? I document everything. People knew I don't use drugs. People knew I work. I've been on my job teaching 15 years, just at my anniversary, okay? Excellent teacher. Any of my parents can tell you, Tawanda Jones is an excellent teacher. So try to do whatever you're going to do. It's not going to work, buddy. You are stuck with this space for life until you get accountability for our loved ones. I'm going to keep coming for y'all. I'm going to come. I want all the smoke. The hell with y'all. That's how I feel. What y'all did to my queen daughter and what y'all did to her son. And how dare you question a child? And to me, my mind started thinking everything is connected. Because when you go to a starting point, and just like, and I don't know if the world know this, but I even read in the newspaper where your husband, when y'all was getting ready for the funeral, who popped up and started searching your husband? The police. The police was messing with your husband the day of the funeral. They booked it. They tried to arrest him the day of the funeral. Some of they were searching him, messing with him, like laughing and joking. He's going to his father's funeral, and these stinking animals had the nerve to jump out on him and mess with him. That's what they do. They're real crafty. They're very crafty because they had nerve. And if y'all think I'm lying, quote me on it. Go to the Baltimore Sun. Exactly. Do your own research. Be your own conscious consumer, okay? I'm begging you, I'm urging you. Be your own conscious consumer. Do your own research. They had the nerve, the first visual we ever had on Causeway, they had the nerve in the Baltimore Sun, shout out to you. They reported that two of the guys, the animals that murdered my brother, was sitting up there on the scene watching over my family members. Watching over my family members after they murdered my brother. And then even we found out that while the autopsy was being done on the 19th, and it took them 154 days later to give us foolishness, but they even had killer cops sitting down while Pamela Southpaw and David Fowler was working on my brother's body. We got police investigators. Can I kill somebody and sit in while they do the autopsy and tell them what to write? Yeah, they need to shut all that down. I've been said a long time ago, that's why I dug in my pocket, took 50 grand that I didn't even have. Plus, as a matter of fact, it almost amounted to 60,000 because I had 50 grand in my own savings account that I wiped my whole thing out completely, right? Wiped it completely out, gave them 50 grand, and had my brother's body exhumed out the ground, because you're not gonna lie, Mr. West did have the last say so, and a whole nother doctor from a whole nother town said he died from positional asphyxia. Okay? Dr. May and a whole nother doctor said he died from positional asphyxia. Two different doctors versus the medical examiner's foolishness. And a reporter gave me a leak. A credible reporter gave me a leak on the record and said that you're going to find out that your brother was murdered from positional asphyxia, but they keep lying. So the truth is coming out. I don't care how long it takes. And I'm letting you know, Brian Frost's office, it don't stop at our little meeting that we had and y'all trying to set it. We turning up the heat on you guys. You guys, I know y'all people email, y'all better respond to them, because my next action will be deeper and deeper. I'm going to expose all y'all. All we ask y'all to do the job. I'm not being a bully. I want y'all to be transparent. I want you to do your job. I want you to hold folks accountable, even if that includes yourself. Thank you. Mike check.
Mike check.
Mike check.
So do you have any questions or comments at this time?
Yes, we do.
I'm going to you're there. How you doing?
Good to see everybody. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Alright, so first comment, on Facebook, Charlene says both Timothy Fleming and Marcus Martin are local victims that needed the mental help but did not. The nation need both accountability and healing. Charlene also says, so much tragedy. Much love and care to you, Nicole and Malkman. And scrolling down, Angela says, killer cops belong in cell blocks. Accountability for Tyrone West, Timothy Fleming, Anthony Anderson, and all victims of police brutality by any means necessary, period. Angela also says, the games they play, but I have more games than Milton Bradley. I'm coming for y'all killer cops. Gaston Melendez, and Jason Zimmerman, period. We coming with all the smoke. And then she says, disgusting. On YouTube, AC Britt says, same with the Green brothers, and more accountability needs to take place, and it's completely disgusting. Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you.
Mic check.
Hey, good evening, y'all. Sorry for my tardiness, but sorry for my tardiness. But I just want to go on record about some of the events that happened that day, and also the events leading up to everything that was going on as far as my father was concerned. Now, on that day, we were preparing for my niece's Jakayla's party for that weekend. It was such a happy moment. You know, everybody was in a joyous mood, and for something like that of this magnitude to happen, it kind of really shook the family up. You know, to know Tony, well, as everybody would call him, but to know Anthony Anderson, was to know that he was loved by a lot of people. You know, and at the end of the day, towards the end of his life, he was known for, you know, the cakes and pies. Everybody knew he was a good baker. You know, he loved to cook and things like that, and he loved his children and grandchildren. So that day I was at work, so I just got a phone call from my youngest sister. She was bawling tears, and I was just like, you know, trying to calm her down, you know, so I can get all the all the details. So she calmed down a little bit, whereas though she was saying, you know, Daddy gone, Daddy gone. I said, what you mean? He said, they killed him. I said, who? So I'm on the defense mode because I'm kind of ready to go to war now. So I was able to get an early break because I was working at Corner Bakery at the time. I was able to get an early break. That way I could definitely talk to my sister. And she was like, you know, the police killed him. You know, immediately I broke down. I couldn't get myself together. They wound up sending me home early that night. So I rushed straight down to my grandmother's house. And, you know, everybody was out there. The whole family, the news crew and things like that. And the police is still circling around. But I got all the details as far as the situation was concerned. That, you know, he was beat to death by the Baltimore Police Department. So in the days after, it was just a bunch of turmoil going on. I got pulled over one time, you know, them harassing me and things like that. My brother got pulled over. They harassed him, threatening him with guns and all of that. It just, during the altercation, a lot of things that came out, it was just shocking to me. You know, for them to even talk to my grandmother in that manner, you know, rest in peace. She's gone now. But the police telling her to back up when she's trying to find out what's going on with her son. So they're telling her, back up, bitch, or you gonna be next. Or he just faking so he don't go to jail. But he was already dying on that lot. You know, so for them to say something like that to my grandmother, watching her son meet his demise, that's very shocking. You know, that's so disheartening. That's very disrespectful to that man's life, and very disrespectful to her life as well. But medical examiner deemed it a homicide right off the break. Went shortly down John Hopkins, you know, and they said that it was no foul play at first. But as weeks went past, they found out that the police tried to hold up the ambulance before they take him down to the medical examiner to try to administer Narcan, trying to say that he overdosed off of drugs. There wasn't no drugs found in the system or in his person or anything like that. They tried to pick up some empty capsules in that vacant lot where they killed him, and tried to say that he was involved in a drug transaction. They said he was coming out the packaged goods store, and he was involved in a hand-to-hand transaction, which was false. You know, he knew everyone around there. Not everybody was selling drugs around here at all. You know, they didn't find anything on him to say that, oh, he overdosed off of drugs or he was involved in a drug transaction. So all the cops detailed that was false. You know, so they tried to bribe the medical examiner to say otherwise, but they deemed it a homicide right away. You really still haven't really gotten too much justice from that because, you know, the police officers, they're still out on the streets doing what they want to do. You know, a week after that, they went down Northeast Market and broke somebody's collarbone. But yet,
The same ones that killed
yeah, the same ones. Same ones. But they'll continue to walk the streets. Shut up.
That was
Yeah.
right. Because he
Yeah,
was putting it out there.
Yeah.
That's why.
Looks like they got cut off.
That's what I'm saying. I know they probably ready to call back in like a few seconds, but as I hear it, it just breaks my heart. And this is our reality. This is what we go through daily. And I don't wish this pain on anyone. Anyone can be targeted and made out to be a victim. Anyone can be lied on. Like, if you're sitting back on your couch watching this or wherever or however you're watching this, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, you need to really take this thing serious because it could easily be you, your loved one, just minding their business, going on with their day, trying to be a productive citizen, and then they get murdered, and then now they want to throw all this dirt on somebody's name and play all these games. It's just horrible. And the reason why I really feel some type of way because they are so comfortable with killing. Every week we read off a list of new victims, and it almost makes me so sad to even do West Wednesday because I'm like, oh my God, we gotta read 2 sad lists. And my thing is, and it's utterly ridiculous because a human life is a human life, but the fact that they're playing mostly with brown and black folks are ridiculous. Like all the homicides in the city now that are happening are mostly Black and Latino folks, and mostly African American. That's crystal clear. I'm just wondering, like, in reality, what if all of a sudden all the victims were Caucasian? They wouldn't be. They've been assaulted. They'd be doing something, and it's just so disrespectful the way they handle family members. And that's why I really love my queen sister Ishtan Roberts, Dr. Ishtan Roberts. When this queen says, every case matters. Every case matters. And when I see them, like we had, and my thing is when anybody is killed, the same way you support one family, all the families supposed to feel that love. All of them supposed to get that type of respect and support. Like literally we had a young, beautiful teenage baby girl murdered on the streets of Baltimore. And they talked about it a little bit. But then when we had this teenager, now you seeing the man down there, you seeing Lottie Dottie and everybody. Where was the man, everybody, when this teenage girl died? They was all supposed to be there. When we read this sadness, where are these people that's supposed to care about us? Like literally when I found out, and it broke my heart, maybe they don't this I can't keep up with the names. When I found out a mother murdered 2 of her children, a young boy and a young girl. And I'm talking between the ages of 6 and 8 years old type of thing. Like, where is everybody at? Everybody should be there for everybody. I'm wondering if people went to Marcus' funeral this week. But we were in DC. Did their family get the support, you know, that they need? Everybody, like, Come on now, don't wait till it's your family to start caring. We are more than just news articles. We're more than a statistic number that I feel that the media loves to announce. That's how they make their money, giving us the blues. Meanwhile, they're talking about somebody's loved one being murdered. Some people that we know could be possibly one of our loved ones. And they don't care. All they is a number to them, a statistic. And they go right on business as usual. No, it shouldn't be business as usual. Because guess what? It's not business as usual when the family member's life are changed forever. From the youngest person to the eldest person. When you have murder in somebody's family, whether it be by the hands of police, community violence, it doesn't matter. When a murder occurs, that family is never the same because now you done disheveled a whole lot of stuff that nobody expected. Like literally, you wake up in the morning, if you make it through the morning time, and before the tragedy hits you, you have your loved one there. You know that they're okay, and then you get that call, you get that news, and turns you up to the point that it numbs you. You can't talk, you can't breathe. You're just living, but it's almost as if you're dead with your loved one. That's sad, and then all we can say is, oh, we have so and so home, like they're excited about this stuff. It's not right. And if you look at when all the homicide numbers really increase, think about the uprising, right? Everything really, literally pick up. Do your own research, do your own conscious consumer. Look at the homicides before 2015, right? Before Freddie Gray Blood laid the ground, and before everybody got together, one cause, one fight, one purpose. They couldn't take it. And now it's like, it's just, like, we're talking years later now. It's utterly ridiculous to what they'll care. And this is a mic check.
Mic check.
So do we have any more comments or questions? And did Nicole and Marcus start again?
Yes, I'm checking. On Facebook, Hillary says, it is important for those who haven't been personally impacted to hear these stories to know what is happening and causing trauma to so many. And no further comments on YouTube. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Did Nicole and Marcus join us back again?
Not that I can see.
Okay, but I don't know. I think they had a bad connection. Last time we remember they were through here, Nicole's phone died, so that might have happened. But if you hear us, please, we're definitely here. And I'm so sorry about what happened. As you can see, that Marcus, he's a splitting image of his father. Like if you look at Marcus, you're looking at Anthony Anderson. Just like when you look at Tyrone West, and you look at my nephew Trayvon, and you look at Tyrone Jr., and even his daughter, Nashay, all you see is Tyrone West. So, you know, you might kill our loved ones, but you can't kill us. Like, you're gonna always see us. They will never, like, be completely gone. So, if we could just go on to the community violence list, and as whoever's gonna read it, I don't know who's gonna present this list, but before we go on to the sad list, I just want to let you guys know, please keep in mind that these are human beings. These are people. Let's show them integrity. Let's show them respect. Because at the end of the day, you don't know this type of pain until it hits you. And nobody wishes death on anyone. And I really don't. Like, I don't wish it on my worst enemy. But for a loved one to be snatched in such a violent way, like nobody's safe from bullets or just from homicides in our city. And that's sad when we live in a town that has potential greatness, that has a lot of grassroots organizations that are really putting in, you know, doing great things like Run Up for Justice, you know, different groups, coalition, ceasefire, the list goes on, like the different coalitions that are actually out here putting in work, right? Even West Coalition, just the different coalition groups that are out here that exist, Baltimore Black, the list goes on. Free Keith Davis Jr. campaign, all that, right? There's so many good and great things that are happening, but it's just sad that you see so much of violence. And just keep in mind, guys, that as we read this list, if you pray, I want you to go into a deep prayer right now and pray for these families because their life is just snatched and changed overnight. Pray for them healing. Pray that they get the counseling that they need to survive this type of trauma. Pray whatever they need, whether it's money to help bury their loved one, whatever they need. I'm asking you guys, pray and keep them in thought as we hear these names and as we repeat these names. These are loved ones. And the saddest part, don't be surprised when you hear a real young victim that should have been in school this week. That should have been in school this week is now gone. Or elderly person that should have been with their grandchildren that are now gone. Or a young woman. Nobody's safe from this community violence. Until we end it, and that's what I'm trying to research on. How can we end this, right? How can we hold these folks accountable, right? But until we make that stance, it's going to keep on happening, unfortunately. But again, let's take 1 minute before we read the sad list of the Baltimore City homicides right here in Baltimore City. Let's take 1 minute. If we pray, pray. If not, keep the families in thoughts. Figure out what we can do collectively to help these families. So let's go in prayer, thought, or whatever for 1 minute. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mic check.
Mic check. This week in Baltimore, there are 7 deaths, 7 people who were killed who were named by the police. 4 have been killed who have not been named by the police over the past 4 days. But beginning on the 20th, if you could just echo their names back. Shakita Causey, 35.
Shakita Causey, 35.
Darius Kimbrough, 21.
Darius Kimbrough,
21.
Isaac Caldwell, 62.
Isaac Caldwell, 62.
Davin Thomas, 8.
Evan Thomas,
8.
Neria Thomas, 6.
Saneria
Thomas, 6.
Carlos Amador Funes, 21.
Carlos Nez,
21.
And last, Adam Seward, 31.
Adam
Seward,
31.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian, for reading that. It's horrible and sad, and my heart goes out to all the families, and in this case, especially those 2 babies, that 6 and that 8-year-old that was murdered by their own mother. And I'm just praying for the families, and we're in like critical times right now that it's just horrible. Like, we're gonna hear about all types of horrific acts that are happening now. So I'm just praying for everybody. And again, I thank you for reading that. I thank you guys for echoing it back and just keeping them in praying thoughts. But as we go on to the next list that I believe Uncle Bill will be sharing about the police brutality, again, I'm gonna take another minute just to kind of think about these families, show respect, integrity, all that for these families. And me as a prayer woman, I'm definitely going to keep these families in prayer because easily, especially with these killer cops being so comfortable with murder, we're talking about murder, bloody murder. Rather they say they had a weapon on them or not, it's bloody murder.
Because guess what? At the end of the day, no one's judge, jury, and executioner. No one should be tried in any street, in any city, and just executed right there on the spot. And the crazy things that they are getting murdered for it's unreal. No one should die giving somebody a ride. No one should die going to offenders. No one should die for going through a mental health crisis in their home. You know, no one should die for these reasons. No one should die for a traffic ticket. That should be literally something wrote down and you pay a fine. And that's it. No one should die for that. No one should die being, and then I heard about a baby, and this is not even a police brutality case, but I heard it was an 8-year-old baby somewhere in the county that was playing a video game, and a bullet came through and murdered this baby. A baby boy that should have been in school this week. I really want you guys to think about that. These are families. It could be your family. How would you feel if it was your loved one that was murdered? Just life gone. Literally at young age, old age. Everybody deserves to live their life to the fullest. Everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves it. Everybody deserves it. So just please, before Uncle Bill reads this horrible list as well of police brutality victims, let's take 1 minute, please. Thank you guys so much. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So just to put this in a little perspective, the police kill about 1,100 people per year in the United States. This has been true for many years. And since 2005, only 7 cops have been found guilty of murder. And so if you do the numbers, 1,100 people a year, 7 cops over the years since 2005, it turns out that cops, let me put it this way, for every 2,500 people whose lives they steal, 1 cop gets found guilty out of 2,500 cases of murder. This has to stop. We have to fight this, and this is not tolerable. Tawanda, earlier this evening you were talking about so much pain at the rally this past Saturday with hundreds of people talking about their experiences as victimized families, and then of course here at West Wednesday we hear also these horrendous stories of what the police have done. So I just wanted to mention as a possibility for the future, a group like us in LA, which is called Say Their Names LA, when they have programs similar to this, they often have the person who is speaking, an impacted family member, talk about a joyous experience with the person whose life was lost, a funny, happy experience with them, sort of to present a well-rounded view and not only focus on the pain. So we might want to consider that down the road. Secondly, also the last thing I want to say before reading the names that we want to honor tonight, on the first Wednesday of the month, after West Wednesday, we usually have a challenge discussion. Challenge is the revolutionary communist paper of the Progressive Labor Party. And we learn a lot and enjoy each other's company and probe how we're going to successfully and strategize to make the changes that are needed. But we postpone, it's not going to be tonight, that'll be next week after West Wednesday, and everyone's invited. For tonight, in the most recent 6 days that are reported, 18 people have been killed by the police around the United States. And the first person that we're going to be honoring was killed by police in Provo, Utah on August the 24th, 48 years old. If you can repeat his name after me and uphold it in that way, that would be great. His name was Paul Rasmussen.
Paul Rasmussen.
On the same day, August 24th, in College Park, Georgia, 22 years old, unarmed, Tory Brown.
Tory Brown.
On August 25th, in Washington, D.C., 27 years old, Antoine Gilmore.
Antoine Gilmore.
Again on August 25th, in Rutland, Vermont, 33 years old, Jonathan Mansilla.
Jonathan Mansilla.
On August the 25th, once more in Grantsville, Utah, a man was killed, and he has not yet been identified. I'm sorry that we can't honor him by name. On the 25th again, in Redondo Beach, California, 36 years old, Kenneth Vessel.
Kenneth Vessel.
On August 25th, once more in Fremont, California, 25 years old, Kevin Johnson.
Kevin Johnson.
For anyone joining us now, the names I'm reading are people who've been killed by police around the United States in the most recent period of 6 days. August 25th, in Crescent City, California, 38 years old, Robert Anderson.
Robert Anderson.
August the 26th, in Sanford, Florida, 26 years old, Samuel Kirk.
Samuel Kirk.
August the 26th, once more, in Wasilla, Alaska, 27 years old. I'm not sure, unfortunately, how to pronounce his name correctly. First name is Zaqua, and last name hyphenated, Rattle Maxon. Zaqua Rattle Maxon.
Zaqua Rattle Maxon.
On August the 26th, in Namta, Idaho, 53 years old, Vladislav Fomin.
Vladislav
Fomin.
On August the 27th, in Greensboro, North Carolina, 41 years old, unarmed, Christopher Moore.
Christopher Moore.
August the 27th, in Elmira, New York, 53 years old, David Wandel.
David Wandel.
August the 27th, in Portland, Oregon, 30 years old, Alexander Tedros.
Alexander Tedrova.
The next person has not yet been identified. He was killed by police in Falls Township, Pennsylvania, on August the 29th. I'm sorry that we can't uphold him by name. Ashe. Again on August 29th in Missoula, Montana, another man unarmed. Oh, excuse me. I'm not sure if he was unarmed. And he again, once more, is unidentified. Ashe. On August 29th in Atlanta, Georgia, another man not yet identified. Ashe. August 29th in Atlanta, Georgia, once more unidentified, a male. Ashe. And that's the last of the 18 people killed by police in the most recent 6-day period. We honor all their lives. Mic check.
Ashe.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So Marcellus, I want to check in. Do we have any more questions or comments?
No comments on Facebook. Checking YouTube. No comments on YouTube. Mic check.
Mic check.
So before I close with some positive words, would anybody from the coalition or anybody on here would like to share anything? Mic check.
Yeah, I got something to say.
All right, Brother Ben, it's all yours. Mic check.
Mic check. Fuck the police. Mic check.
Mic check. That was funny. Mic check. And I second that motion. Absolutely. But I don't want to. This is a spoiler alert. I don't know if you guys saw the movie Candyman, but I just want to let y'all know that it talks about race, class, and police brutality. And this is a spoiler alert. Anytime the daggone police kill Candyman, it's real. So I just wanted to, on a funny note, but yeah, it's definitely real. So yeah, so if you haven't seen Candyman, please go and get it. Like, go see it, go see it, go see it. Like, Lily, I thought it was gonna be scary, but it definitely wasn't scary. It put you on point about a lot of things and talked about artists and things of that nature. So definitely, truly, go see it. It's a must see. Go see it like now. Like, take your family, go see it. And on a positive note, I just want to let all you guys know that I love you and just try to balance your life out. Like, try to always focus on most positive thing. Count your blessings one by one. Like, literally, I know we sit up here and you hear a lot of pain and you hear us complain, but there's a whole lot of blessings. Because I had the funniest thing happen to me the other day, and I'm sitting up there, I'm trying to encourage my daughter, and as I'm encouraging, I didn't realize my car was running out of gas. I'm on the side of the road, almost locked myself out, got caught in a rainstorm. I'm like, what's next? I'm like, don't leave me alone. But at the end of the day, I can still count my blessings, because guess what? I'm still here. I made it through, and God is good. So I just want to let you know, just honor the people while they're here. Joyous moments, always make them. Take as many pictures. That's why I always take dumb pictures of food and a daily picture every day, because guess what? Your life changed, and always reflect on your memories, because at the end of the day, after it's all said and done, all we have is our memories, and make them joyous. And it was funny how my daughter and them, they got me real good, but I'm gonna be showing y'all I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna try to get them on live. I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna get them, but I definitely gonna get them, because y'all know that my daughter was looking for scholarships, because some of the West Coalition was telling them, like Hillary was telling me different scholarships for my daughter to look for. So when she told me that I was going on live, she's like, yeah, Mom, I got this live Zoom meeting, that's on. They want me to talk about who inspired me. And mind you, I'm not on, I'm not on any other social media besides Facebook, and I haven't seen the scholarship jokes. It's all on TikTok and all that foolishness. So I was like sitting there, and I went to the bed. We had just came back Saturday from the march. I'm all tired. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for the interview. I'm like, let me go, like, snack on a bag of M&Ms real quick. And I grabbed me some M&Ms. And she's like, okay, and she act like she was talking to people, and then she act, so I'm thinking I'm on live. That's why I was like, hi guys, and all this foolishness or whatever. And because she said they was recording me, and then when she started talking about my mom was on drugs, I'm like, oh, hold up, the devil is like, I never in my life had a cigarette, so it was funny. So those are our memories.
It's
like,
8 o'clock.
Every day, like a memory, like try to find a joke of the day, something's funny, and just love upon your loved ones. And I just want to let y'all know, live to love, love to live. I love you all, and we will see you guys next West Wednesday. And also, I just love you. So if any way that you need me to support you, I'm only a phone call away. And I just want to tell you guys that you're the best. I love you, and I hope that all the kids that's going back to school, I hope you guys are having an amazing time, because I'm having an amazing time right now, building with new little friends. And then I even had some of my students from my previous class come by and moved up to the different classrooms, come by and give me a big hug. So that really made my day. And I got so many text messages and from my other parents that children graduated out my class and say, oh, Nala was disappointed. She thought she could be at her new school, and she's so upset. And that type of stuff makes my day, because I love babies, I love the kids, I love the kids, and I love you all. So, as unfortunately, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to let you know Angela's with us. I don't know if she wants to speak or not.
Oh yeah, I knew she was with us, but she probably don't. But would you like to speak, sis?
No.
Right. Yeah, she's just in queue. Like she always told us she's gonna be in. Sometimes, when she wanna speak, she definitely gonna do the mic check, come on in. That's a powerful queen right there. But thanks for letting me know but I definitely already do.
Thank you.
So yeah. But unfortunately, as the way we brought you in here with the video of the weeks, child rights in the communities, it's sad that we gotta take you out, but I want you guys to actually watch this video. And if anything that you can do to help us push my brother case and all these cases for them to reopen cases, these are real videos. We didn't make this stuff up. And shout out to my sister Dina that is able to actually speak, because when I met this beautiful queen, I remember she was silent, she couldn't speak. I remember this beautiful queen rolled up on me at a West Wednesday. She gave me this beautiful card, and it was so powerful. And I still got that card, and her spirit just touched me like, because normally I'll be scared when people give me stuff that I don't know, but her spirit is just so loving that I embraced her, and I just I'm just having reflections of how I met each and every last one of them. and each reflection is a definitely good one. Because I remember when Uncle Bill had came to like the West Lansing, and I remember my cousin Kiara and my cousin Neil, like, oh, he used to be my teacher, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, he's powerful, like, he's a revolutionary, like, he's talking about it. I remember when I first met Ben and his beautiful kids, and I remember when Hillary and Dan, I remember each and every last one of y'all when I met Nicole, and like all of y'all, all of the memories are beautiful. Like, I just love you guys. So that's what we gotta live for, the memories, y'all. So make each and every memory a great one. And if you see something wrong, it is our duty to speak up. You cannot just sit by. Guess what? When you sit by and don't say something, when you see somebody talking foolishness or engaging in it, guess what? You're engaging too, because your silence is condoning it. So don't condone, like, don't let nobody sit around and do something wrong in front of you and you not checking, because you might be the one that actually turn them around and change their heart and mind, because you never know what somebody's going through. And real fast before we wrap up, because I'm definitely respect your time and we're over the 8 o'clock hour, but I just want to quickly tell you a real story real fast about how love breaks through. And I'll never forget Mr. Haymeyer, may he rest in peace, but this was a landlord, and I'll never forget, he lived on our block, and I told this story before, but I'm just talking about great times and just showing gratitude. But this man was a lonely old white guy, and he reminded me of Santa Claus. He had the long gray beard and everything, but I thought he was mean at first, because literally he would call 911 with children riding down the streets on their, I'm talking about bicycles. He would call 911, but I knew there was some mental health issues, and he had so many cats. Like, and I think that's probably why I'm afraid of cats, because he had like 35 cats that he was actually living with, and like he scared me. And I never forget one night I went to go take my mother said, she said, go knock on his door and give him my money to pay the rent. And I remember taking the envelope. She like, just give it to him and we'll open it up. And I always ask questions, like I still do. I was always a curious kid, as I am as an adult. And I'm like, Mom, what's this? She's like, it's our rent money. Just give it to Mr. Haymeyer. So I'll never forget, I knocked on his door, and I'm a teenager at the time, and I'm like, and he yelled at me. He was like real nasty and mean, and he's like, I'm like, I was here to give you something. What do you got? You know, he told me, what do you got to give me? And I thought he was a prejudice. Like, in my mind, I had already stereotyped him. He don't like black people. He's this mean old white man. That was just how I perceived him. And long story short, that wasn't even the case. But I pretty much spoke up and advocated at a young age. And I'm like, look, first of all, you're being rude, Mr. Haymeyer. I said, I had the rent check, but if you want it, you need to get yourself together. You can come back in about an hour and get it and retrieve it from my house. And I left. He was like, give me the money. So I left, act like I ain't here, and I walked down the street. And I went home, and I always was a cooker, even as a teen. And I'll never forget, I was making some barbecue chicken. So when he came, he knocked on the door, and I was so polite, and my kindness killed them, you know, and I was like, hey, how are you? And he was like, stop playing with me, give me a check. I said, oh, here you go. I said, see, I could have been rude to me, but I'm not. And then he started laughing, and he said, what are you cooking? That smells good. And I invited him in for dinner, and he ate, and I'll never forget, like, literally, he started every morning, he would like leave something, like he would go to Walmart and buy me some type of cooking dish. Like he bought me my first cake pan, and he bought me all the stuff. Like I was like, oh my God. And then as I had more conversation with him before he passed, I learned that he was a lonely man. Like all the cats replaced all his family members. I didn't know that all his family died and everything. Like you don't know somebody's story, so just get to know it before you judge somebody. It's easy to judge somebody, but to know that he was just a lonely old man, and that my family was able to share joy and pour into his life, and he was so happy. And we helped him like with the garden. We helped him like you know, he was showing us how to plant like vegetables and stuff. But he was a great man. But me not knowing him and just judging him from afar, he's judging me. Don't do that. Get to know your neighbor, because you never know who you're living next to. You never know what joy or what stresses they're suffering from, and you guys can help each other out. So I love you guys. Live to love. Thank you for letting me share, and thank you everybody. And Ben, you may take us out with our video. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
and Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016. Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working and working with promotions. He is now sergeant, but the fact that this repeat of violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam, and my sister Dina and her family. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.